Hi guys, welcome back to another book review. Today I want to talk about Crowns of Resemblance by H.K. Laurin. And so I've got a lot to say about this one because I did receive this one as an ARC. And I'm going to straight up tell you right now, I really enjoyed this one. It was a little different. I can say when I first started the book, and there was a lot through the book that I was like, I don't like this female main character. She's so down. But then when you get to know the book and you get to read it, you're like, oh wow, she's been put through the ringer a little bit. And there's a lot of miscommunication. I think there's some lines that were exactly, told what things were truly happening. And so there was assumptions, and you know how all that goes. So if you start this one and you're going to be like, hey, I'm not sure I like this female main character, keep reading. I promise you it will all fall into place. It will. I'm going to tell you, the male main character, he has my heart in his hands. He was so good. I adore the male main character. And this one is going to be extremely emotional, that I want to take that into consideration. This one had me crying, and the ending of the book had me screaming, no, don't do it. So that right there tells you, if it's got me so worked up and at the end of the book, screaming at the book, it tells you it's going to be good. So where I'm going to go from that is, the romance on this one is not necessarily, it's not a fast burn, but there is a bond between the main characters, and they are fighting the bond, and they're really like, there's just a lot going on. I'm going to just say this is really depth, and the best way to describe this is, there is a bond set between the main characters, and he wants the bond and she doesn't, and he's willing to do anything and everything to have her and go through the bond. And so that, really take that in consideration. Your mind could just run wild what he's willing to do with that. It's a fantasy romance, what he's willing to do to get her to be his. And it is pretty crazy. There's some destruction, there's stuff that it is going to be kind of morbid, it's kind of gory, so take that into consideration too. I know there's some people out there that like the fantasy romance but don't necessarily like all the war that happens in fantasy romances, because there is a lot, let's be honest, that's very common in a fantasy romance series, is a lot of war. And this one is going to be no different. So I'm just going to straight up say right there, that's the biggest thing I'm going to do without giving a whole lot away, is there's a bond between them. She doesn't want it, he wants it, and he will go to whatever ends to get her back and to have her. And she don't fucking want him. She don't want him, excuse my language, she don't want him. She don't want him. She wants nothing to flip and do with him. And she wants him to go away, and he just let her live her life and everything else. Well, she wants more than that, but you'll have to read and find out, because I'm not going to spoil this for you. So I'm just going to say on this one is super emotional. I'm going to keep saying this one is emotional. That was my biggest thing about this one. It had me so deep in my feels. It definitely is a good fantasy. There's the magic, there's the power aspect. But the biggest one that I have to say about this one, it is super emotional. It had me all up in my feels. And so if you are somebody who's looking for a super duper emotional fantasy romance that is complex but not so complex that you're like mind blown, but yet it's complex enough that like some people might still struggle a little bit with the world building. So somebody who struggles with world building, be careful on this one, because it's not overly complex like some of the other fantasies now, but it is complex enough that it's not going to be one of the smaller complex. If I had to rate this one, it would be in between the super complex and the not complex. It would like be right in that middle. It's complex enough that it's just it's just a good fantasy, and there's a lot of world building, and the characters, there's areas, like I said, where I laugh, where I cry. This one just it's really great. And so I just want you to know, check this one out if it's something you're into. Check it. Like I said, it's good. It's good. That's the best way I'm telling you. It's a fantasy romance. They're fighting bonds. Really emotional. There's a lot going on in the background, but I can't tell you more because I will give it away. And so if this sounds like something you're into, then I would definitely check it out, because I liked it, and I think you will too.